Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Cool, good morning. Before we start, I would like to ask you a question. How many of you are using Cisco DNA Center? Okay, cool, fair enough. And how many of you are using APIs in your company? Cool, good. Today's topic is intent APIs in DNA Center. My name is Mariusz Kazimierski. I'm technical leader in customer experience. I'm working in TAC. I support switches. I support DNA Center. So whenever you open Cisco TAC case, basically, I'm one of the guys who can support you on these topics as well as on others. So if you take a look at today's session, we'll have 45 minutes. And basically, the main question you may have, what is it for you? So today we are going to concentrate mainly on how to start with intent APIs on DNA Center. We'll take a look how the basic API looks like and how to basically start it. I will give you a short demo so that you can take a look, from ground up, how you can build intent APIs and how you can leverage DNA Center in the real environment. I'm not going to concentrate on advanced API scenarios. I'm not going to cover troubleshooting or debugging. If you have any of these scenarios, feel free to contact me. We can work together and figure it out how to do it. So, if you think about Cisco DNA, what we are doing right now is basically a few years back, we introduced Cisco DNA Center. Yeah? So that's our orchestrator for enterprise market, where we basically, from DNA Center, we're able to control all the switches, routers, wireless access points, and so on and so forth. But last year, what we did, we opened it up. Yeah? We created this open platform, which allows you to basically create an ecosystem in which you can easily connect DNA Center as an orchestrator, start to manage devices, and build interconnectivity to other systems. So if you think about all what we did in the DNA Center platform, basically we open it up from different various angles. First of all, we enable so-called third-party SDKs. So we are opening up from Cisco to also third-party vendors, so that if you would like to do and manage third-party devices from Cisco DNA Center, you can write by using SDKs some modules, and you can basically have basic control on these third-party devices. The second pillar is basically integration with our all other processes tools like IPAM or ServiceNow, where you can basically tightly integrate DNA Center and, for example, open a ticket in ServiceNow so that you have some process and business correlation between the systems. Next one, you can also do cross-integration with other Cisco systems. Think about ACI, Meraki, about StealthWatch. All of that is basically fully supported, and now you can, through APIs, create this bounding between DNA Center and other Cisco products, so that it's kind of easy to integrate one product with the other. But today's session is basically concentrated on these northbound interfaces. So these APIs are kind of exposed right now through DNA Center up to the user, up to you, so that you can leverage all the APIs. You can talk to the DNA Center easily by using REST API and get all the benefits from programmability around it, from the ability to basically get DNA Center and integrate it within your system. So what's intent API? That's our code name basically for APIs. Yeah? So we are saying we'd like to give you the API, which is easy to use, which is related to the intent itself. We don't want to give you harsh API, which is difficult to use. We just wanted to follow this network intuitive approach, where the intent you have, the business intent you have, you would like to push to the network, will be also reflected in API itself. So with this intent API, basically we'll provide policy-based abstraction. Yeah? So we'll create the framework for you so that you can easily leverage the API in many various scenarios. But you still may have a question why you should care. Yeah? Okay, it's nice to have APIs, it's nice to have all this integration back and forth here and there. But generally, the main question is, what's the purpose? Yeah? Why would you like to do it in your real scenario for your companies, for your businesses? There are a lot of reasons. You can use it for optimizing end-to-end processes. You can create tight integration. You can create automation around it in order to deploy some additional value-added services, additional businesses. Yeah? That's more from marketing perspective. If you think about engineering approach, you can use it, and why you should care, because it's kind of fun. You can do it and you can create some nice stuff around it. Yeah? The good thing is that we provide full documentation on DevNet. So if you go to this website, basically you can find all documentation about DNA Center with all the description, what each and every API is doing, what's the syntax, what's the schema, and so on and so forth. Yeah? So that's one of the approach you can go in order to better understand APIs. But what's even better is that when you install DNA Platform on DNA Center, you can do it also on the product itself. So Cisco DNA as a core doesn't include the platform module. You need to first install it. The installation is very simple. The only thing you need to do, you need to go to basically software updates, select DNA Platform, and click install. That's it. Yeah. It's cloud update, so basically you will need to wait like 10-15 minutes. The platform will be installed. Here you can see we have just the basic design, policy, provision, assurance. There is nothing more. After installation, there will be additional tab added, which is called Platform. That will expose all these APIs, all the capabilities you have in the system. So to move forward, basically after installation is completed, you will go to Platform, and then you need to enable specific functionality. I mentioned we have Northbound APIs, we have all this integration to third party, we have integration to Cisco, free party SDKs, and so on. In bundles themselves, you can select and permit specific functionality while blocking the others. Yeah? So in our example, I will concentrate on REST API. But as you can see, there is a lot of other events and possibilities to enable. So that depending on the use case, depending on the needs, you can enable one or the other. In our scenario, basically we're just looking on DNA Center REST API. So basically, as you can see here, everything is in status new. Everything is possible to be enabled. You just need to click button enable, and that's it. Yeah, a very simple process. Few clicks on DNA Center, and after that, basically you have full access to API, and you can start leveraging this method of access to the system. I mentioned that API and documentation is available online. Yeah? So that's one way to consume the data and learn about the APIs itself. The other one is to learn it directly on the product itself. If you go to the developer toolkit, basically you will get all the APIs available in the system right now. And by clicking on the name, basically you can get and receive all the additional information about the method. So that's also the way how you can explore what we expose on a daily basis and how to effectively use these APIs in the real scenario. So what's worth mentioning also is that we add APIs in each and every version. Yeah? So if you compare what set of APIs we had in version 1 to 5 versus 1 to 8 right now, you will see much differences. And right now it's more than 100 APIs that we have exposed officially. You can also, I would say, hack it a bit. So if you think about UI and DNA Center, how we operate, we basically expose the UI to you. But in the backend, what's happening, we basically request all the functionality. For example, click on this single icon is API call to the backend to realize specific functionality. So that's yet another method how you can basically learn on APIs, yeah? To track how UI works together with the backend, because everything is based on APIs. So coming back to the topic, if you go to developer toolkit, you will get set of APIs. On each and every set of APIs, you will get specific methods, and if you click on specific methods, you will get to the next screen, which will give you more insights about specific API call. First of all, you will get information about description, so that will be short informational notes about what specific API is doing. Next, you will get information about the method, is it get, post, put, delete, and so on. And you will be also given exact URL to be used so that you can run specific method. Yeah? So the only thing you need to do is basically copy paste this URL, and that's off you go. Yeah? There is nothing. You will get exact IP address that's being used. You will get full URL that needs to be used, and so on. Yeah? There is no manual work related to that. And then you will also get explanation about all the parameters. Yeah? So the values you need to provide through API in order for DNA to consume it and give you the proper response. Yeah? So you need to send some meaningful data, and then DNA Center is going to reply to you. And the responses are also well documented. Yeah? So you will know exactly what you can expect, what kind of code, HTTP code you will get, and what's the meaning of the code versus the behavior that DNA-C experienced. And then you will also get the schema about the response itself. Yeah? So if you're thinking, okay, I'm sending something, what I'm expecting to get, that's exactly the description that that DNA Center will follow to provide you the outputs back. You can see here, for example, I am checking the information. You can see like MAC addresses, which is string, management IP address, and so on. Yeah? So basically, all of that fields will be returned from API through DNA Center, so that you can build a script, build a logic in order to consume the data and make some additional business outcomes out of it. And what's cool about DNA Center itself is that you don't have to write any line of code. Yeah? You have here the possibility to, first of all, get snippets of the code that will allow you to do specific API call, or you can click try it now, and then you can run specific functionality. So the first one, if you take a look at this option 1, what we provide to you will provide you a bunch of languages like Python, JavaScript, Go, Ruby, you name it, yeah, plenty of them. And whenever you select specific language, you will get the code snippet, which is ideally reflecting to your DNA Center. Yeah? So you will get the IP address, which is configured on your DNA Center. You will get exact method, that's get method, that's the URL. You just need to specify variable, in that case hostname, management IP, and so on. You just need to tweak it, and that's the full code you can use in your environment. Yeah? So as you can see, it's very easy to start. You will just copy-paste the code, and off you go. Yeah? There is no need to start from the scratch. There is no need to basically build everything from the ground up. And then there is also the second option, try it now. So if you select this one, you will get a graphical user interface where you can do more or less the same. You can fill in the fields, click run, and basically you will get the response. So that's the way how you can basically test the APIs without writing any line of code, without spending a lot of time on troubleshooting that. Of course, there are other possibilities. If you move from this testing phase to more, I would say, proof of concept, and then to development, you can use curl to test it out. And here's an example. What I'm doing, I'm basically running the curl request. It's insecure because I'm not using certificates on my DNA Center. So I need to allow, insecure HTTPS connectivity. Next, I'm doing request, which is post. So that's what has been documented. So it's post request to DNA Center. I'm including header. In that case, that's basic authorization header, for which I am specifying my username and I'm specifying my password. And I calculate hash based on base64 encoding. And this is the rule I'm executing. Yeah? So basically, what this code means is that I'm sending the post request to this IP address under this URL with my username and password. As a response, I'm getting something. Yeah? So that's yet another method how you can consume APIs on DNA Center and how you can effectively test and check what you can expect from DNA itself. But the last but not least approach I would like to describe is by using Postman. So I'm just wondering how many of you are aware of Postman? Okay, cool. So Postman is basically graphical, the application where you can specify more or less the same as here, but you need to write it manually. You can do it on UI, and it's very, I would say, convenient to do it. You have a lot of additional capabilities. So here I'm doing more or less the same, yeah? So I'm doing the post request under this URL. So basically I'm connecting to DNA. I am connecting with basic authentication, basic authorization with my username and password, yeah? So that's yet another method how you can test APIs in order to see what DNAC is going to return to you and how you can start to build some advanced logic around it. So that's all good, but probably the question you may have is that, okay, what kind of APIs we now allow you to consume? There is a bunch of categories that we have enabled for you, starting from authentication up to operational tools. So if you take a look at the first thing we need to do, we need to somehow authorize and authenticate to the system. This is based on username and password. So initially I need to provide from my system, for example, from my laptop, username and password, and DNAC itself is going to generate me a token. This token will be next used for each and every request, so I will not use any more username and password. I'm going to use token, which is valid for 1 hour, in order to connect and get authentication to the system and get proper responses. So this API is more, I would say, administrative one, yeah? So it's just the method to get the token so that we can start using all the other APIs available. And then if you take a look at the first category, Know Your Network, it's the category where you can start to consume APIs around clients, around sites, topologies, devices. So if you're interested, for example, what kind of devices you have, what kind of IP addresses, software version, MAC addresses, line cards, inventory, and so on and so forth, you can start to use this Know Your Network to get it in programmatically way back to the system. The second interesting category is related with site management. Yeah? So if you're interested about plug and play, yeah? So if you like to enable your new device in the system, and you would like to do it not once, but you would like to do it for the whole branch, yeah? 50 devices, and you would like to configure and create some kind of template so that whenever device will be plugged in, the template will be automatically pushed to the device and loaded. You can all of that done through site management APIs and create the framework around it. You can also leverage the SWIM to manage activation and distribution of software. So if you think about software upgrade activities, we support iOS, iOS XE, NXOS, and other systems. Basically, you don't have to worry about all these nitty-gritty details, how to do the upgrade, how to do all these activities. I will show you on demo how to do it. It's very simple. You can basically manage all the activation, which means reloading the switches, loading the new software. You can also manage the distribution, so copying the image to the specific devices, so that you can be sure that all devices in the system are running the same software version. The next interesting category is connectivity. So DNA Center, you can work in Fabric and non-Fabric mode. So if you have SD access deployed, then you have also a set of APIs in order to connect to the Fabric and get insights from the Fabric to see what kind of SD access Fabric you have, what's the wired part configured, what's the wireless part enabled, and so on and so forth. Yeah? So there is also a bunch of APIs available in this area. And the last but not least, we have a bunch of operational tools available. So if you are thinking about the way how you can, for example, run commands and CLIs on the box, yeah? You would like to run show version on 100 devices. There is a simple way to do it. I will show you in a minute on demo. But basically, you can do it directly by using APIs, by using operational tools. You can also, use functionality like path trace. You can check how the packet goes through the network. DNAC basically will connect, will check exactly what's the conditions, what's the routing table, what's the L2 settings in the network, and will tell you exactly the path trace for specific traffic. You can also manage templates, yeah? So what you can do, you can basically create a template. For example, you have banner that you would like to push on 100 devices. You can create the template for API and then automatically push it to all devices in your network. So now I would like to go to demo and show you how it works in the practice, yeah? So what I have my DNA Center and I have Postman. So I will show you how to consume APIs through Postman because I would say it's the most intuitive way to show it to you. And I believe that's the way how you can see the benefits you will get by using APIs. So let's start. So what I have, the first one I need to run is basically a method that will give me the token. Yeah? So the token is the value that will be used for all the other requests in order for the DNA Center to accept them and give me the proper reply. So the token itself, as you can see here, basically it's a post request for this URL. That's the IP address of my DNAC. Here in authorization tab, I'm providing my credentials, so it's username and password. And you don't see real username password because what I'm using so-called environmental settings. So here are basically all the values I'm using. Yeah? So I'm using that IP address for my DNAC. That's my username and that's my password. This username and password I previously configured on DNAC and I provided the proper privileges. Yeah? So that will be successful. And basically that's the first request I'm going to do. Yeah? So I'm going to send the post request to this URL with my credentials. The goal is to get the token. Yeah? I would like to get the token so that I can use the token in all the next requests. In headers, I specify that content type is JSON because we leverage like HTTPS plus JSON as the method to communicate through it. So now if I click send, as a response you can see I get the token value. So that's the value. It's quite long string. That's the value I'm going to use for all the other requests so that DNAC can accept it and give me the proper response. And here in Postman itself, I'm also, have a script, 2 lines of code, which you basically is saying, okay, let's get the response, let's get the value token from JSON, and save it as environmental data as token. Yeah. So now if you take a look, the token itself has been added to my environment. Yeah. So that's a little trick in order to not to avoid copy paste and this kind of stuff for all the other requests. Okay, so as a response, as you can see, we get the token, so all is good. We have connectivity, we have token, we can start to do some real stuff, yeah? So the first thing, which is kind of good to do, is to get information about the devices, yeah? I'm interested what kind of devices my DNA Center is managing. So the request is very simple. It's a GET request, and all of that is documented on DNAC. It's documented to DevNet, so you can go and check it out. But as you can see here, the request is very simple. Yeah, I'm getting to this URL. That's my IP address, 10.48.18.192. In headers, instead of providing username and password, I'm now providing my token. Yeah. So if you take a look at authorization, I no longer provide here my credentials. Credentials were only used in the first request to get the token. And now, from now on, I can use the token in all my requests going forward. And basically that's it, yeah? If I send it out, you can see I get a response. And these are all the devices I have in my network. So you can see here, things like, okay, that's the switch, so it's cat9k. That's the MAC address, host name, software type, software version, serial number, and so on and so forth, yeah? So by doing this simple request, basically I get a lot of details around my network. I could be more specific. I could ask only for the, for the devices in specific site or in specific region. But basically here I have just 2 devices, so I'm just asking for all of them. And what's important here is this value. So if you think about DNA Center, what it does is basically an orchestrator which has the database behind it. Yeah. So in database, what we have basically these unique identifiers that identify each entity in the system, and that will be my ID values that I'm going to use for all the other requests. So I'm not using IP address, I'm not using serial number. I'm going to use this UID or ID values in order to differentiate one device from the other. And these devices I'm now also saving here. Yeah? So I have one device which I detected, which I call device UID1. That's this ID value. As you can see, E6D. That's my first device. I have also second device, which has its own unique identifier. The way how I do it is basically through some scripts. I'm looking for entry which has management address of this, and I'm assigning that as a device 1. And IP address of .2 is basically my device UID .2. Yeah? So it's just simple mapping between one and the other. So having device details, we can start to do some stuff. Yeah? So the first thing I would like to show you is how to get CLI from the boxes. Yeah? So as you will see, it's very simple. So again, it's yet another GET request. So I'm doing the GET request to my DNAC. I'm doing the network device puller. I'm pulling device through CLI. And first, I would like to check what kind of valid CLIs I can ask device for. So if I send this specific request, as a response, I will get all the CLIs that are possible. Yeah? So I can see show commands, so I can run any show command on the box. I can run ping, I can run things like traceroute and so on and so forth. Yeah? So there's a lot of CLIs available, basically all of them, that are supported right now. So whenever you would like to do it and ask it from command runner, you can do it. So let's try it out. Yeah, so the next request is basically, I would like to run CLI on specific device. So this is the post request to specific, again, I'm pulling, I'm doing read request for CLI. From headers perspective, no changes. I just providing the token, I just providing information JSON. And the real content is basically here in the body. So here you can see I'm requesting for this specific CLI, and I'm requesting that from this single device. So that's the way how you can construct the request in order to get meaningful output. If I would like to add more commands, I can do it. I can, do comma, show run, show whatever. If I would like to add more devices, I can do it as well. Yeah? So it's scalable. You can do whatever you want. It's very simple. So now, if I do send, basically, what you can see is that's the output being generated by DNA Center. You don't see show version, which you probably may expect, but you see some bunch of stuff which is kind of not easy to understand. The reason why we do so is that basically we are from DNA Center accepting the request, but the request itself may take some time. So if you think about here, I'm doing one CLI on one device, so it should be like that. But in reality, you can ask about show tag from 100 devices. It will not be like that. Yeah, it will take ages to complete. That's why from DNA Center, what we see that this request has been accepted, so all is good. And that's basically the URL for the task that was created internally on DNA Center that's responsible for executing this activity. So now what I can do, I can check what's the status of the task. Yeah? So basically what I need to do, I need to just get this URL and check what's behind it. So if I run another request, which I called check status, that's basically the URL from the previous task. Yeah, I'm just sending that to the system, and I'm getting the response. Yeah, again, you don't see here show version, which is kind of tricky. You would again expect to see some outputs here, but what you will see first of all that it has been finished because end time is already there. And in the progress field, you will see reference to file ID. Yeah. So what we need to do yet another step in order to read the file from the system. So the output of the show version has been already saved on the NAC, but we need to do another lookup, another read, in order to get it from DNAC. And basically that's the request. Yeah. So there is documented request to get the file from the NAC in order to retrieve the content. If I send it now, let me change it to JSON. If I send it now, you can see finally some meaningful output. Yeah, you can see from this device UID, I get the success, I get show version, and that's the content of the show version. If I would like to be more, if I would like to add more CLI, I can do it, of course. If I add here, for example, show run, I can do it. What I can do, I can also add my second device, because I just wanted to show you that it's very simple, and the logic is exactly the same, irrespective if you are using one CLI, one device, or more. So now I can run the same again. I need to repeat the same steps. So here you can see command runner service is ongoing. And then if I see it here, now I can see for this specific device, I can see two outputs, show run and show version. If I scroll down a bit, I will see also my second device. So that's my second device, yeah? And I also get show run, show version. So as you can see, it's very simple, yeah? I just did 3 calls. Initial get token, then I get device list, and then I can start pulling devices to get some data out of it. So let me show you some other example. Running CLI is nice, but from real world, what's also important is to have an easy way to manage software upgrades, software versions on the devices. And SWIM, software image management, is basically the suite we have on DNA Center that allow us to manage this process very effectively. So here, what I can do, I can first check what kind of images we have on DNA Center. So DNA Center is capable to get images from Cisco.com. It can download it locally. It can check the checksum. It can check if it's valid, MD5, is it tampered or not, this kind of stuff. As soon as we import the image, we'll have it available here. And here you can see I have my software available. It's 1692, and that's its own unique identifier. So that's one of the images I have stored on the NAC that I can next, for example, copy, or I can install on my specific device. So we have 2 methods. Yeah, we can first upload the image to the device and then do nothing, wait for maintenance window to activate it. That's one approach. The other approach, we can do everything in the same go. Yeah, so we can copy and then restart the device to accept this the new software. So what I have these 2 switches. So let me show it to you. So that's my first device, and that's my second device. You can see some stuff here. You can see show version. So that was the first execution of the command runner I showed to you. So you saw that source 10.0.0.200 is my DNA Center. It logged to the box. It executed all these commands, including show version. And the output was taken to the NAC, and the NAC was sending that through API. Next, I run show run. I do show run and show version. You can also see it here. Yeah. So all is good here. And here, if you take a look on this device, 1692 is not here. Yeah, if I check on flash and I do pipe 1692, basically there is nothing happening. So now if I go to Postman, let's see what will happen. What I'm sending here is basically the following structure. I'm going to copy the image to this device, which is identified by this unique identifier, and I'm getting the image which is characterized by this UID. Yeah? The first value we got at the very beginning, as you recall, I was asking about devices. I got this unique identifier. Then the second value we get in the previous call when I was asking about all devices that DNA Center is aware of. So if I send this request, the request will go through API to DNA Center. DNA Center is going to consume it, and it's going to connect to the device and start to push image on the box itself. So now if you take a look at the box, you can see some activity started to happen. Yeah? One of the things we do, we check CPU status, if CPU is good or not on the device. Yeah? Should we initialize the copy of the image, or maybe we should wait till the image is good? And then you can see some other CLIs being executed. We are checking if the file is there. We check the file systems, and at the end, basically what we do, we copy SCP to flash, and DNAC is basically starting to copy the image to the box. So now if I run the same CLI, you can see basically the file has been created, and yeah, it should grow. And basically, after some time, the image will be fully copied. Yeah? So you can see it will take some time. I'm not going to wait. But you can see through API, I was able to run a call, API call to DNA Center. DNA Center is able to copy the image automatically to my switch. So that's one approach. Yeah? You can use Swim. You can use APIs in Swim in order to copy the image. And you can do it not only on one device, you can do it on 100 devices in one go. Yeah? So there is no scaling issue from this perspective. But what's even more interesting is that, okay, I was copying the image. I can check through API what's the status of the copy. So the same task ID was created in this case. So here I got the URL to check the task status. I need to query it once again for this URL. And here I can see that I'm copying this image 1692 to this IP address, and this task status currently is in progress, yeah? Because it's still copying to the box. After it will finish, it will change to completed, and we are good. In case of any errors, you will get also error reporting here directly, so you will get all the insights what's happening on the device itself. But as mentioned, copying the image is nice, but even more interesting is the way how you can enable image on DNA Center in the way that it will automatically install the image, reload the device, and the device will come up with the new image software version. So instead of distribution, we are going to do so-called activation. So activation will be able to copy the image if needed, and then activate the software at specific time. So in the body itself, basically that's the logic, yeah? I'm going to install the image on device UID 2, so on my second switch. I'm going to install this specific image, which is identified by unique identifier. So if I send it out to the box, as a response, I will get, again, task, because it will take some time. It's not like 2 seconds activity. And then I can query this specific task to get more insights what's happening. Here I can see activate has been started. It's done by Swim service. So it's a service responsible for managing the images. And basically that's my ID of the task, and that's the way how we can check the status of the task. If you take a look what's happening on my second device, you can see some stuff has been started to happen, yeah? We log into the box, we check the show version, what version we are running. We are now verifying MD5, so we don't want to enable software which is corrupted. So DNA Center will do it for you. So it will verify if MD5 is correct. We'll also verify if the image is correctly signed and it hasn't been tampered, yeah? So if from security perspective, we do all of that stuff for you, you just do one simple API call and that's it. So as you can see, it's very simple. And from demo perspective, what I did, I just show you a few ways how you can, in very easy way, how you can interact with the network. You can run CLIs, you can upload the image, you can even upgrade the device in order to make it very effective. Here I just show it on one device, but as mentioned, scale is not an issue. You can do it for hundreds of them. Cool. So let me go back to the presentation and tell you a little bit more. So what we did, I just show you, very easy stuff, yeah? But if you think about other companies in the real cases, we already have real deployments, and some companies already started to consume these APIs in the real environment. So for example, Accenture is now using these intent APIs in order to integrate DNA Center with the service now. So that's one of the integration we have. They also use software image management, so SWIM, I just show it to you, in order to get details about the images and then open ticket automatically in the system and build the whole ecosystem around it. Konskia also is using intent APIs. They use inventory and command runner that I show it to you in order to get single source of truth about the network, about the inventory, and see how it behaves. IBM is also doing the same. They are using inventory APIs and topology APIs in order to prepare setup for the global rollout. So as you can see, it's very simple. How you can start? I'm going to post this request to you on Spark so that you can have access to it. But generally, there are two approaches. Yeah? If you have already DNA Center, it's very simple. You just need to install this DNA platform, enable it, and that's off you go. You can have fun time and start to play. If you don't have DNA Center, you still can do it. You can go and use either one of our always-on sandboxes. So we have one dedicated that's always on. You don't have to reserve, you don't have to pay. You can just go and start playing with that. Or you can reserve one of these that we have dedicated, which provides you more capabilities and not read-only access, but you can also tweak some stuff. So here is the way how you can access it. Always on sandbox, you will just go to DevNet sandbox.cisco.com, select DNA Center, and you will get basically simple topology where you have DNA Center, you have some switches, devices. You can play around, and as you can see here, it's kind of recommended to initial rollout for APIs for communicating between DNAC and the network devices. And then there is a set of reservation-based sandboxes. Again, I'm providing you the URL. You can go there, reserve dedicated slot for you, and start to play, interact with APIs, and see how it works. In the presentation, you'll find also some reference materials. There is a lot of stuff available on DevNet. So if you go to one of these links, basically you'll find plenty of data to take a look. So by having said that, I would like to thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. What I would like to share with you is that, first of all, I'm going to publish this Postman request on Spark so that you have access. You can just copy, change the credentials, and start using that. That's one thing. We are looking for your feedback, so feel free to provide us the feedback, how it can be improved. But what I would like to also recommend to you is to take a look here and there, because we have a lot of additional materials, additional sessions around more or less the same topics, how to effectively use APIs and DNAC, how we can integrate it and make it up and running. So by having said that, thanks a lot for your time. And yeah, wish you a good journey with API and DNAC and the rest of the Cisco life. Thank you a lot.